In 2015, the U.S. invested $934 billion in education. $934 billion. By this year, 2017, the reps summoned Betsy DeVos. Who is Betsy DeVos? Betsy DeVos is the Education Secretary of the United States. The budget this year was reduced by about, I think they cut it by 9.2 billion, right? We don't know the full extent of what the budget is going to be before the end of the year for education, right? But you know what the rep said? She said, she told the Education Secretary that you do not know what you are doing, that you do not know the implication of this thing on the economy and how it's going to affect kids in rural America. 9.2 billion is less than 1% of what they spent in 2015, right? Look at our education expenditure this year, 1.77 billion. Look at the education expenditure in 1980, 2.028 billion, minus 12.8%, over a space of what, 32 years. It's a colossal disaster. 26 plus 15% in health is 41%, almost 50% of your budget that the UN says invest in human capital development. How important do you think that will be? Let me tell you the implication of what is happening today, right? We are increasing poverty. Poverty leads to crime. Have you gone to see the prison, the prison statistics? Prison statistics, right, has increased. People in prisons have increased from by 26%, right, between 2011 and 2015. But at the same time, population has only increased by 10%. So we are having more people in prison. And then the worrisome part is this. On Monday, when I was speaking at the platform, right, I read out something of underage kids at Badagry prison. What were they arrested for? Hawking, petty stealing. So you see, you refuse to send these kids, and you're not looking at teenagers per se in their old teenage years. You're looking at 13, 14-year-old kids. Yeah. We are not sending them to school, and then we are incarcerating them. What future are we building?
But you know, about those figures of the prison increasing by 26%, in terms of speaking about interrogating those figures, because we also do know that a huge percentage, I'm trying to remember what percentage now, of those in those prisons are those who are awaiting trial. So can we paint all of them in one brush? Because who knows, if they had gone through the process, they may not have been there.
If you are awaiting trial, you have been arrested for something, right? Go and look at the prison population, right? And then look at the offenses. Offense against property and offense against persons, right, are the major, two major offenses that put a lot of people behind bars in the first place. So they're only awaiting trial, but they have already, what, committed an offense, right, before they were put there. But my own argument is this. I am not talking about people in their late 20s or 30s, right? We have teenagers, 13, 14-year-olds now, that the country is supposed to be investing in to take on the future of this country. They are in prisons. Doing what?
So, okay, much as we get the point that, yes, we need to do a lot in investing in education, but do we discountenance the causative factors? Or because we have also had former DG of NDLEA who said most of these crimes are drug-related offenses. Will education in any way have any impact? Because those who also have or who are in the process of getting themselves educated are not exactly 100% immune to drug-related
When you say
matters.
drug-related offenses, you have to be very specific. Are they taking drugs or are they selling drugs? Are they in the business of peddling drugs?
Ingesting.
Ingesting. Good. Now, if you raise a child very well, right, there are certain things that that child will not do. I have kids, or I'm sure probably maybe you have kids, right? It also boils down to how much we invest in our kids. If you are driven to the point that poverty is so high, right? And you have to be maybe outside out of 24 hours a day, you are outside 16, 17 hours, right? Remember, you have lesser time for your kids.
We'll talk about solutions when we come back in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, it's our concluding moments now. You're talking about some of the issues you've also seen about what we spent in 46 years in education. Talk us through that.
Yes. If you look at on slide four, right? We compared Nigeria to a lot of countries, and then we also now compared Nigeria to the Islamic countries, right? Now, because a lot of people have been raising questions that, look, this thing is a northern thing in Nigeria. It's a religious thing. And we've tried to prove them wrong. Now, if you look at slide 4, right? Nigeria in 46 years from the federal level have only spent $52.79 billion compared to other countries, right? And these are countries that have lesser populations, except for Brazil, United States, and Indonesia that had more population than us from the countries we surveyed, right? And you see that we've only compared our population and education expenditure. We are the least. Wow. Some of these countries are not even up to 10% of our population. And then if we go to slide 9, you find out that when people started complaining, well, it's a northern thing. The United Nations report stated that there were 60% in the north and 40% in the south. It's a Nigerian thing. We compared education expenditure with Islamic countries too, and found out that what we were spending was abysmal to what they are spending. They are investing in education, they are investing in human capital. It has nothing to do with northern region or southern region. It has nothing to do with religion. Saudi Arabia and Iran, right, are the two most religious Islamic countries in the world. The home of the Sunnis and the Shiites, right? But go and look at their education expenditure and you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed, you know.
I don't know, slide 9 doesn't seem to be coming through, but we might as well just...
It's okay.
Well, so what do we do?
Yes, what we need to do is this. First of all, education expenditure, if we want a future and we need a future in this country, what we also did, we did a predictive analytics, right, for the next 33 years, where we're going to be in 2050, right? And then we found out that our population growth, right, in 2050, we're going to hit almost 398.5 million people. As you reduce education expenditure, population will continue to grow.
All right.
And that's the only way we can slow it down. But the interesting thing is this. By the time we also keyed in our projected GDP for 2050, right, we're going to be at 1.745 trillion. But by the time you divide that and go back to GDP per capita, right, it's not going, we're probably not going to get anywhere. All
right, we need to anchor the point. So I appreciate you coming on again today. Mr. Roman Oseghale, business survey analyst and development and education researcher. That's the show today, but we've still got more coming up tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Osal.
I'm Nell Taigwe. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. I'm Maupe Ogun.